In a world where words seem to lose their value, where noise and superficiality dominate, some questions arise. Is it possible to demonstrate our worth without uttering a single word? Is it possible to know the value and intentions of those around us beyond words? The answer, according to ancient Stoic philosophy, is a clear yes. The Stoics believed that courage was one of the main qualities a human being should have, and that it could be demonstrated through actions rather than words. Today we invite you to embark on this journey of personal transformation, where you will discover how to recognize your worth and become an example to yourself and the world. I invite you to stay until the end, where you will find valuable lessons to strengthen all your plans in the face of any adversity. If it's your first time on my channel, please help me by subscribing and liking the video, so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. We will discover in this video how to dive into something real and authentic, understanding your worth through a perspective that has stood the test of time. Stoicism. Yes. You heard right. Stoicism. This ancient philosophy is not just about being insensitive or enduring pain, but rather about realizing what truly matters in life, especially in our relationships. Let's begin. Present yourself with dignity before you start imagining a Stoic as an austere, unsmiling figure from antiquity. Let me clarify things. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions or being indifferent. It's about understanding where your energy deserves to be invested. So let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Sometimes we try so hard to impress someone that we end up losing ourselves in the process, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, all to gain that approval. And here's where our Stoic wisdom comes in. Your dignity isn't in the clothes you wear or the places you frequent, but in how you behave in your actions and choices. Imagine this: you're in a cafe, and you see two people on a date. One is all flashy, trying to impress, while the other is comfortable in their own skin. Which one do you think will leave a lasting impression? The genuine one. That's the power of presenting yourself with dignity. Stoics strive to live with integrity and self-respect. How does this translate into our modern world? It's simple. If you're passionate about something, make it yours. Let it shine. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about feeling comfortable and secure in your own skin, knowing that you're worthy as you are. And here's another thing. Treat yourself with respect. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. What you're telling the world is that it's acceptable for them to treat you the same way. But if you respect yourself, value your time, your energy, your emotions, you're sending a loud and clear message. I'm worthy of respect, and I expect to be treated as such in the context of real relationships. It's not just about how you see yourself or what you say, but rather how you react and behave in different situations. Are you reacting with desperation or dignity? Are you compromising your values just to fit in, or standing your ground? Even if it means standing alone, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We're all human. We make mistakes. We have our embarrassing moments, but it's about how you deal with those moments. Do you crumble under pressure or hold your head high and learn from it? Let's reflect on how we can start presenting ourselves with more dignity in our daily interactions. Perhaps one way is to establish clear and healthy boundaries in our relationships, communicating firmly but respectfully what we're willing to accept and what we're not. This allows us to protect our emotional integrity and establish a standard of mutual respect. Another way to present yourself with dignity is by learning to say no to things that don't align with our values and priorities. This may involve refusing commitments or situations that make us uncomfortable or go against our principles. By doing so, we reaffirm our right to live according to our convictions and demonstrate loyalty to ourselves. It may also involve treating others with a little more kindness and respect in our daily interactions, recognizing the humanity in each person we encounter. And showing empathy for their experiences and feelings allows us to build more authentic and meaningful relationships. When we begin to recognize and value our own dignity, we project a confidence and self-esteem that the external world perceives. This influences how others see and treat us, creating a positive cycle of mutual respect and appreciation for each individual's dignity. 2. Know your worth. I know what you're thinking. No, please, not another conversation about self-esteem, but stick with me. Because here you won't hear about looking in the mirror and repeating how amazing you are. So what does Stoicism have to do with knowing your worth in relationships? A lot. Actually, Stoics teach us that the key is to focus on what we can control. And your self-esteem is 100% under your control. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram, or whether someone sends you a friend request on any other social network, but rather how you perceive and value yourself. Think of it differently. Imagine you're a precious gemstone. Not everyone recognizes the value of a rare gem. Some may overlook it without realizing what it is, but that doesn't change the value of gemstones. They remain valuable, rare, and unique. That's your true reflection. That's you, genuine, unique, and valuable. Your worth doesn't diminish just because someone doesn't see it. Now, let's be a little realistic. We all face rejection at some point, experience the feeling of not being good enough, especially in our hyper-connected world where it seems like everyone is living their best lives. But this is where Stoicism comes in to remind you that your worth is not tied to someone else's approval, but rather to how you live your life. Your virtues and your actions are you kind? Are you honest? Are you living in a way you're proud of? There's your true worth. Stoics were big on self-reflection, so take a moment to think about your qualities, not just superficial things, but the deeper values. What makes you feel good? Whether it's being compassionate, resilient, or a great listener. These are qualities that make up your worth, and here's the secret. When you know this deeply and truly, it will change how you interact in your relationships. You won't tolerate nonsense. Not because you're arrogant, but because you respect yourself too much for that. And here's a little Stoic exercise for you. The next time you feel belittled, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, ask yourself what your strengths and values are. It's not about becoming arrogant, it's about silently acknowledging that you're worthy of external validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic emperors, says you have power over your mind, not external events. Understand this, and you will find strength. When we talk about relationships, we enter a territory where recognizing and appreciating our own worth becomes crucial. It's important to understand that our worth is not determined solely by others' external perception, but resides intrinsically in our own perception of ourselves. It's a daily reminder, a constant practice that invites us to cultivate and nurture our self-esteem and inner confidence each day upon waking up. We have the opportunity to affirm ourselves and our worth regardless of others' opinions or judgments. It's about remembering that we are valuable beings worthy of love and respect, not because someone else says so, but because we firmly believe it at our core. This journey toward self-awareness and self-acceptance leads us to recognize that our worth is not subject to external opinions, but rather resides in our own essence and authenticity. Each step on this path of self-discovery brings us a little closer to understanding our true worth. It's a gradual and ongoing process of personal growth, where we learn to recognize and appreciate our strengths, virtues, and unique qualities. As we delve into this inner journey, we discover that our worth is not contingent upon external validation, but rather lies in our own perception of ourselves. Understanding that our worth is something we can cultivate and strengthen over time empowers us to take the reins of our lives and relationships. It frees us from the need to seek external validation and allows us to live from a place of unwavering self-esteem and confidence. Ultimately, it's about finding strength in our own worth regardless of whether others recognize it, and remembering that we are worthy of love and respect simply for being who we are. 3. Acting with boundaries. Don't tell me, show me this principle applies perfectly. When we talk about setting boundaries, it's one thing to tell someone what your boundaries are, but it's another to actually demonstrate them through your actions. Think about it this way. Anyone can say they won't tolerate being treated poorly, but the moment of truth comes when they actually face that situation. Do you hold firm to your boundaries or let them be crossed? Therein lies your true power. It's not in the saying, it's in the doing now. This may not be easy, especially when emotions are involved. But remember what our Stoic friends taught us. Everything is under our control, including the choice of how we react to situations. If someone crosses a line, it's your reaction that defines your boundaries, not your words. For example, if you've made it clear that you value honesty, and someone lies to you, how you handle that situation speaks volumes. Stepping away or addressing the issue directly and calmly shows that you take your boundaries seriously. Not creating drama, but rather respecting yourself, and being respected in a way that aligns with your values. This approach can change the game in relationships when people see that you have boundaries you won't allow to be crossed, and also standards and values you're determined to uphold. They start to understand what you will and won't accept. It's about cultivating a sense of self-respect and sticking to it. And here's where it gets truly stoic. It's not just about the big things, but also about the everyday little boundaries. It's how you react when someone cancels plans last minute, or how you handle it when someone takes you for granted. You communicate through calm actions and words that this isn't okay. Mindfulness practice is much more than just being present in the moment. It's about diving deeply into the experience of here and now, observing mindfully every thought, emotion, and action that arises within us in this journey of self-awareness. We invite ourselves to question and reflect on how our actions reflect our personal boundaries and core values. By being fully aware of the present moment, we give ourselves the opportunity to assess whether our actions are aligned with our boundaries and authenticity. It's a constant process of self-evaluation, where we ask ourselves if we're acting in accordance with our deepest principles and values, or if we're deviating from our true selves due to external pressures or social expectations. This practice leads us to closely examine every interaction and situation, seeking clues about how we're responding and whether we're staying true to ourselves. It invites us to be witnesses to our own boundaries, to recognize when we feel comfortable or compromised, and to take steps to protect our integrity and emotional well-being. It's in the small moments of everyday life where the true test of our boundaries lies. It's in these seemingly insignificant situations where our true nature and the strength of our character are revealed. Therefore, mindfulness practice challenges us to be present in every moment, to be aware of how we're reacting to life's various circumstances, and to cultivate greater clarity and discernment in our actions and decisions as we navigate our daily lives and interact with others. We can adopt a somewhat stoic perspective in how we show and establish our personal boundaries. It's not just about imposing strict rules or being inflexible in our interactions. Ultimately, it's about cultivating that internal compass that guides us in how we act and react to different situations. This internal compass, inspired by Stoic principles, invites us to be mindful of our own boundaries and values, and to act in accordance with them at all times. It's not about shutting ourselves off from the outside world or erecting walls around us, but rather about establishing healthy boundaries that reflect who we are and what we value in life. When we begin to live in this way, people around us take notice. They begin to see us as individuals who not only have clear boundaries but also respect ourselves enough to have them respected by others. It's as if we're emitting an invisible signal that says, "This is who I am. This is what I stand for, and I'm not willing to compromise my principles for the convenience of others." This attitude not only allows us to build more authentic and respectful relationships, but also helps us cultivate a deeper sense of self-esteem and confidence. By living according to our boundaries and values, we become a beacon of integrity and authenticity in a world often filled with uncertainty and confusion. For limiting access, I know this may sound a bit old-fashioned, perhaps even a bit strict, but hear me out. It's not about playing hard to get, but rather about respecting and understanding your own value. What does Stoicism say about this? It teaches us the art of self-discipline and control, but not in a rigid and inflexible way. It's about knowing what is truly valuable and not squandering it carelessly in a world of instant gratification. It's like a breath of fresh air. Think about relationships, or when we're dating someone, often there's a rush to share everything, our time, our space, our deepest thoughts. But the Stoics would advise taking a step back, because something that is easily available often loses its value. It's human nature. If you're always available, if you always say yes to everything, where's the mystery, the depth, the anticipation? Now let's talk about how to limit access in a dignified and stoic manner. First, it's about how you present yourself. Dress elegantly but modestly. It's not just about fashion. It's a statement of intent that says, I value myself. You're not hiding, but you're also not revealing too much for everything. There's a balance, a sense that I'm more than what meets the eye in a world where we're constantly connected. Being selective about who gets your time is powerful. It's not about playing games, but rather saying, my time is valuable, and I choose to spend it wisely. If you're with someone, be fully present and committed, but when you're not, feel okay about not being available because you're focused on your own life, your passions, your growth. Stoicism also teaches us about emotional self-control. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant, not at all. It means not allowing anything to affect you deeply. You maintain a certain inner calm, not giving away your emotional energy to just anyone. And mind you, I'm not saying to become a stoic statue. We're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there's beauty in taking things slow and building a connection that isn't based solely on instant access and immediate gratification. It's about building something that has depth, something that endures. Always remember that limiting access isn't about playing with others' feelings or manipulating situations to our advantage. On the contrary, it's an act of deep self-respect and consistency with our own core values. Limiting access means demonstrating not just with empty words, but with concrete actions that we value ourselves and deserve to be valued by others in the same way. It's a process that involves being a bit more selective in our interactions, a bit more careful in our decisions, and a bit more moderate in our expressions. It's about finding that delicate balance between sharing openly and at the same time retaining a part of ourselves, thus protecting our emotional integrity and self-esteem. By adopting this approach, we're following in the footsteps of the Stoics in our modern world of dating and relationships. We're committing to living according to our deepest principles and establishing in clear boundaries that reflect our dignity and self-esteem. Believe me, this approach makes all the difference in how we're perceived and treated by others. By valuing ourselves and acting with the firmness and cohesion of the Stoics, we're sending a clear message to the world around us that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and that we're not willing to compromise our integrity out of fear of loneliness or lack of acceptance. Focus on actions, not words, as we've explored. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, about judging people by their actions, not just their sweet words. We live in a world full of charming words and empty promises, especially when it comes to relationships. However, the Stoics teach us to look beyond that, to observe actions, because they reveal the truth. It's easy to say all the things we believe to be right or what others want to hear, to make promises, paint a perfect future. Your actions back up your words. That's the real story. Let's be realistic for a moment. We've all been there. As soon as we meet someone, they start telling us all these nice and surprising things, and we get carried away. But over time, the actions don't fully match. They say they'll call and they don't. They make plans and cancel last minute. Yet their words hold us. This is where our inner Stoic self needs to intervene. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by words, nor to be ruled by emotions. It's about being rational, seeing things as they are. If someone's actions don't align with their words, that's a red flag. It's like the universe telling us, hey, pay attention, something's off here. This shift in focus truly transforms the dynamics of our relationships. Instead of getting lost in words and romantic promises, we start paying attention to the subtle details, how they react in moments of stress. If they follow through on what they say. If they're there for us, not just in words, but genuinely and tangibly. And here's the truly fascinating part of this process. When we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear and forceful message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us realize that they can't simply recite sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They need to demonstrate their value and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This shift in perspective empowers us to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships. It allows us to recognize the difference between words and actions, and helps us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships, where coherence between words and actions is paramount. Adopting a Stoic attitude in love entails being rational, observant, and wise in our interactions and personal relationships. It's recognizing that at the end of the day, it's concrete actions that truly reveal people's feelings and intentions much more than mere words. Therefore, by committing to this philosophy of life, we empower ourselves to make more informed and conscious decisions in our relationships, based on a deep understanding of reality and an honest appreciation of ourselves and others. 5. Prepare to walk away in Stoicism. There's this beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding what we can and cannot control. And one of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay or leave a situation that is not passions your growth. Stoicism also teaches us about emotional self-control. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant, not at all. It means not allowing anything to affect you deeply. You maintain a certain inner calm, not giving away your emotional energy to just anyone. And mind you, I'm not saying to become a Stoic statue. We're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there's beauty in taking things slow and building a connection that isn't based solely on instant access and immediate gratification. It's about building something that has depth, something that endures. Always remember that limiting access isn't about playing with others' feelings or manipulating situations to our advantage. On the contrary, it's an act of deep self-respect and consistency with our own core values. Limiting access means demonstrating not just with empty words but with concrete actions that we value ourselves and deserve to be valued by others in the same way. It's a process that involves being a bit more selective in our interactions, a bit more careful in our decisions, and a bit more moderate in our expressions. It's about finding that delicate balance between sharing openly and at the same time retaining a part of ourselves, thus protecting our emotional integrity and self-esteem. By adopting this approach, we're following in the footsteps of the Stoics. In our modern world of dating and relationships, we're committing to living according to our deepest principles and establishing in clear boundaries that reflect our dignity and self-esteem. Believe me, this approach makes all the difference in how we're perceived and treated by others. By valuing ourselves and acting with the firmness and cohesion of the Stoics, we're sending a clear message to the world around us that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and that we're not willing to compromise our integrity out of fear of loneliness or lack of acceptance. Focus on actions, not words, as we've explored. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, about judging people by their actions, not just their sweet words. We live in a world full of charming words and empty promises, especially when it comes to relationships. However, the Stoics teach us to look beyond that, to observe actions because they reveal the truth. It's easy to say all the things we believe to be right or what others want to hear, to make promises, paint a perfect future. Your actions back up your words. That's the real story. Let's be realistic for a moment. We've all been there. As soon as we meet someone, they start telling us all these nice and surprising things and we get carried away. But over time, the actions don't fully match. They say they'll call and they don't. They make plans and cancel last minute. Yet their words hold us. This is where our inner Stoic self needs to intervene. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by words nor to be ruled by emotions. It's about being rational, seeing things as they are. If someone's actions don't align with their words, that's a red flag. It's like the universe telling us, hey, pay attention. Something's off here. This shift in focus truly transforms the dynamics of our relationships. Instead of getting lost in words and romantic promises, we start paying attention to the subtle details, how they react in moments of stress, if they follow through on what they say, if they're there for us, not just in words, but genuinely and tangibly. And here's the truly fascinating part of this process: when we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear and forceful message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us realize that they can't simply recite sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They need to demonstrate their value and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This shift in perspective empowers us to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships. It allows us to recognize the difference between words and actions and helps us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships, where coherence between words and actions is paramount. Adopting a Stoic attitude in love entails being rational, observant, and wise in our interactions and personal relationships. It's recognizing that at the end of the day, it's concrete actions that truly reveal people's feelings and intentions much more than mere words. Therefore, by committing to this philosophy of life, we empower ourselves to make more informed and conscious decisions in our relationships based on a deep understanding of reality and an honest appreciation of ourselves and others. 5. Prepare to walk away in Stoicism. There's this beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding what we can and cannot control. And one of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay or leave a situation that is not suitable for us here. We also refer to relationships. We've all been in that situation where everything in us says this isn't what we deserve, but still we stay. Maybe it's the fear of loneliness, the fear of change, or simply holding on to hope that things will change, that they will get better. But here's the Stoic point. The true power lies in recognizing that staying in a situation that compromises our values is within our control, and we can choose differently. This doesn't mean that at the first sign of trouble we should abandon everything. Relationships require work, commitment, and patience. Mostly, it's about knowing your own worth so deeply that when something goes against it, you're ready to walk away. It's about having that inner strength, that Stoic fortitude to say, I value myself enough not to settle for less than I deserve. Let's delve a little deeper into this. Being prepared to walk away is an act of self-affirmation and self-compassion. It implies having clarity and inner strength to recognize when a situation or relationship is not aligned with our fundamental values and our sense of dignity. But let me emphasize that this doesn't need to be a tumultuous or drama-filled process. Often it's a serene and conscious understanding that we deserve something better. Yes, It's true that facing the unknown can generate fear. Uncertainty can be intimidating. However, it's in these challenging moments that we recall the teachings of the Stoics, who urge us to embrace adversity with courage and to accept that life is constantly changing. Recognizing that you have the courage to let go of what no longer serves you is like making room for new opportunities and experiences in your life. It's like clearing the path for personal growth and renewal. It's important to understand that you're not clinging to a situation out of need or fear. You're making the conscious decision to honor your own emotional well-being and happiness. But by having the courage to leave what no longer nourishes you, you're taking a step towards a brighter and more satisfying future. You're saying yes to yourself and to the possibilities that await you beyond the known. Therefore, as we reflect on the idea of being prepared to walk away, let us remember that this act of courage and authenticity allows us to open ourselves to new opportunities and experiences in life. It reminds us that we deserve to live fully, and that we have the power to create the kind of life we desire. As we savor our coffee, and let these reflections sink deeper into our minds, let us remember that being prepared to walk away does not imply adopting a cold or distant attitude towards others. On the contrary, it's about manifesting self-love and a deep respect for ourselves, empowering us to recognize and uphold our own boundaries and needs by saying, "I deserve better." We're not making a derogatory judgment of others, but reaffirming our own worth and dignity. It's about recognizing that we deserve the relationships that respect us and propel us towards personal and emotional growth. By having the courage to walk away from what no longer serves us, we're affirming our self-esteem and honoring our deepest needs in this process of being ready to walk away. We also cultivate the ability to discern what we truly value in our relationships. This allows us to identify harmful or toxic patterns and make decisions that are aligned with our long-term well-being and happiness. Therefore, let us remember that being prepared to walk away is an act of self-love and an expression of our commitment to a full and authentic life. It's a constant reminder that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration in all our interactions, and that we're willing to defend that right with determination and firmness. 6. The power of no in Stoicism. There is a strong emphasis on personal integrity and the courage to stand up for your principles. This directly applies to our ability to say no in relationships. It's about knowing what you believe in and not being afraid to hold your standards. Consider the scenario where you're in a relationship and your partner suggests something that doesn't feel right to you. It might be moving too fast or compromising your values in some way. The easiest option would be to simply go along. But here's where your inner Stoic self must intervene and say no. It's a matter of respecting yourself and your values. I'm not saying this is easy. On the contrary, it can be incredibly difficult, especially when you care about the person. There's always that voice in the back of your head saying, "What if this pushes them away?" But here's where we must be courageous. Stoicism teaches us about courage, not only to face external challenges, but also to confront internal ones, saying, no is not just about self-respect. It's about showing that you value yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. You might lose them. But here's the key. If saying no to something that goes against your value pushes someone away, then maybe they weren't right for you. This approach can truly shift the dynamics of a relationship when someone sees that you're not afraid to say no, that you're not there just to please them at the expense of your own values. Their perspective changes. It shows them that you're someone who respects themselves, someone who values themselves. And here's another Stoic twist: refusing something contrary to our values is not just about setting boundaries with others, it's also about being honest with ourselves. It's about recognizing what you truly want and not compromising on a relationship. It's about not letting the fear of loneliness lead you to make decisions that are not right for you. Delving into this point, saying no is truly an act of authenticity and self-assertion. It allows us to establish healthy boundaries and stay true to our core values. It's a manifestation of living with integrity, just as the Stoics taught us, reminding us of the importance of standing firm in our convictions and acting in accordance with our principles. When we say no, we're honoring our authentic needs and desires, rather than succumbing to external expectations or the demands of others. It's a form of self-care and authenticity by setting clear boundaries and expressing our needs. Honestly, we foster healthier and more meaningful relationships where both we and others are valued and respected for who we truly are. Therefore, let's remember that it's okay to say no. It's an expression of self-love and an important step towards building authentic and satisfying relationships. By embracing our ability to say no when necessary, we position ourselves in a place of personal power and allow ourselves to live with integrity and authenticity in all our interactions. Saying no can be an act of liberation, an affirmation of your own autonomy and dignity. It's the conscious refusal to compromise your values and integrity in the name of convenience or social acceptance. But by exercising this power of no, you're actively shaping the course of your relationships, establishing clear boundaries and protecting your own essence. It's a way of putting yourself first, acknowledging that your emotional and moral well-being is as important as any other consideration. Furthermore, by saying no, respectfully and firmly, you're communicating clear expectations to others and promoting more authentic and transparent communication. This creates an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, where each party feels free to express their needs and boundaries. Saying no when necessary not only strengthens your own self-esteem but also strengthens relationships, as it establishes a solid foundation of understanding and mutual respect. 7. Healthy skepticism. Skepticism and Stoicism go hand in, and Stoics try to see things as they really are, not as they're expected to be in the realm of love and relationships. You might wonder if this is relevant. We've all heard someone say the words we want to hear, as if they were the right ones and we want to believe them, ignoring the warning signs in the background. This is where our inner Stoic self comes into play. Having a good dose of skepticism is like having a superpower. It doesn't mean you're negative or cynical. It's not about being grounded or not taking everything literally. It's about observing, questioning, and not diving in head first without thinking a bit. Let's set the stage. Imagine this scenario. You meet someone and you think they're great. They're saying all these wonderful things to each other, planning a future together. However, it's only been a few weeks since you met. Your Stoic side would say, take it slow. Don't rush. Let's see if their actions match their words and how things develop. It's like a reality check to remind you not to get lost in romance. This skepticism isn't about bombarding the other person with questions or doubting every move they make. It's more about being mindful, listening to what they say, and also observing what they do. It's about taking the time to really get to know someone, to check if they're consistent and authentic. The Stoics highly valued the use of logic and reason, not just letting themselves be carried away by emotions and relationships. This is crucial. It's true that finding the balance between our emotions and logic can be a challenge in relationships. However, by cultivating a little skepticism, we can give space for our rationality to assess situations more objectively and clearly. By maintaining a certain degree of skepticism, we don't allow ourselves to be swept away by the emotional current of the moment, but make decisions grounded in reality and our authentic needs. This allows us to discern between what is beneficial for us and what could pose a threat or obstacle to our emotional well-being. Furthermore, skepticism offers us the opportunity to protect our hearts from potential disappointments or emotional harm. By not rushing into situations without properly evaluating the circumstances, by granting ourselves the necessary space to better understand the other person, their intentions, and their compatibility with our own needs and values, It's not simply about erecting barriers or walls around our heart, but about opening doors cautiously and discerningly. By being a little skeptical, we can stay alert and aware of our emotions while allowing ourselves to explore new connections with a clear mind and protected heart. Embracing imperfections is an essential part of the Stoic philosophy of life, which urges us to tune into the essence of existence flow, with the natural rhythms of the universe, and accept reality with serenity and acceptance in the context of love. These lessons have deep and transformative relevance by adopting a Stoic perspective. We acknowledge that both we and our loved ones are imperfect beings, subject to the vicissitudes of life and human limitations, instead of seeking perfection in the other or in ourselves. We embrace imperfections as an integral part of the human experience, valuing authenticity over appearance and finding beauty in vulnerability and sincerity. By accepting these imperfections with compassion and understanding, we create space for mutual growth and genuine connection. The practice of acceptance and understanding offers us the opportunity to cultivate solid and meaningful relationships, where genuine connection and mutual support are fundamental mental pillars, instead of fighting against reality or trying to shape others according to our desires. We learn to adapt and flow with the circumstances that present themselves to us, finding a deep sense of peace and satisfaction in the present moment by practicing acceptance. We recognize and embrace both our own imperfections and those of others, accepting that we're all human beings with limitations, and that it's natural to make mistakes and face challenges in our relationships instead of judging ourselves or others. We allow ourselves to be compassionate and understanding, recognizing that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools and resources available at the moment. This understanding invites us to put ourselves in others' shoes, to empathize with their experiences and struggles, recognizing that each individual has their own story, their own wounds, and their own motivations, and we strive to understand their perspective with compassion and empathy. By doing so, we strengthen the bonds of connection and trust in our relationships, fostering an environment of mutual support and unconditional understanding. The practice of acceptance and understanding allows us to cultivate more authentic and meaningful relationships, where love and connection naturally flourish in an atmosphere of mutual acceptance and respect. By learning to flow with the circumstances and embrace reality as it is, we find a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in our relationships, allowing love to blossom in all its splendor. In summary, Stoicism invites us to embrace reality as it is, finding beauty and meaning in every experience, including loving relationships. By practicing acceptance, understanding, and compassion, we cultivate authentic and deeply satisfying relationships, rooted in genuine connection and unconditional mutual support. 8. Don't chase. The principle of not chasing is deeply related to everything we've discussed. Especially when viewed through a Stoic lens. In Stoicism, there's significant emphasis on focusing on what's within our control and letting go of what isn't. This philosophy proves extremely powerful when applied to relationships. It's about understanding that chasing after someone who is pulling away is not only futile, but also not aligned with self-respect and our own value. Imagine this scenario: you're dating someone and everything seems to be going well, but then distance starts to arise. We've all been in similar situations and instinctively desire to chase after the other person in an attempt to fill that gap. However, this is where Stoic lessons come in. The Stoics would say, wait, why chase after something that's not under your control? What happened to your dignity, self-respect, and peace of mind? Chasing after someone who is pulling away is like trying to hold water between your fingers. It's ineffective and leaves you feeling empty. However, the key is in having the courage to let go of what doesn't serve us, making room for something better. It's like clearing out the clutter to make space for clarity and freshness. Though it may be challenging to distance ourselves from what doesn't nourish us, It's an act of self-love and authenticity. The Stoic focus is on standing firm in our own value. If someone is pulling away, let them. It's not about being cold or insensitive, but about recognizing that we can't control another person's feelings or actions. We can only control our response. Let's be honest, it's not easy. It takes a lot of strength to not change, to not give in to that impulse. But it's about trusting that if someone truly wants to be with us, they will be when we stop chasing. We begin to focus on ourselves, on our own lives, and amazing things happen. We attract people who are drawn to our strength and confidence. It's like we're sending a signal that says, I value myself. Let's be stoic in our approach to relationships, respecting ourselves and focusing on what we can control. It's about finding inner peace, not external validation. We have the power to choose how we react to the world around us. Remember that we are the architects of our own dignity, the guardians of our self-esteem. Embrace that power. Let our actions, choices, and boundaries speak of the amazing person we are. These are some ways to show our worth and recognize that of others. Following Stoic advice through actions, not just words. Remember, courage is not something we say, but something we demonstrate through our actions. By choosing not to chase, we're freeing ourselves from the emotional trap of seeking external validation and recognizing our own self-worth as something intrinsic and unshakable. This requires courage and self-awareness, as it demands that we trust in our own worthiness, regardless of others' responses or behavior towards us. It's an act of personal empowerment where we affirm our own dignity and refuse to seek our validation in external relationships by adopting a non-chasing stance. We're exercising detachment, a skill valued in Stoic philosophy. Detachment allows us to let go of unrealistic expectations and accept reality, as it is enabling us to flow more easily with life's changes and challenges. By relinquishing the need to control the outcome of our relationships, we open up space for greater freedom and inner serenity, living more in harmony with Stoic principles of acceptance and equanimity. Moreover, by choosing not to chase, we're also cultivating an attitude of self-respect and self-love. Instead of subjecting ourselves to the anguish of chasing after someone who is pulling away, we're honoring our own boundaries and emotional needs. We recognize that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and this begins by stepping away from situations that don't value or emotionally nourish us. On the other hand, we're fostering a healthier dynamic in relationships. By making room for the other person's freedom and autonomy, we're creating a solid foundation for genuine and meaningful connection. Instead of suffocating our partner with our own expectations and demands, we're allowing them to feel free to be authentic and fully express themselves. This strengthens emotional bonds and contributes to a more balanced and harmonious relationship. Ultimately, by practicing non-chasing, we're also honoring each individual's personal journey. We recognize that everyone has their own pace of growth and development, and we respect each person's right to follow their own path. This allows us to cultivate greater compassion and empathy for others, as well as freeing us from the pressure of trying to control the course of relationships instead. We trust in life's natural process and open ourselves up to opportunities for growth and learning that arise along the way. 9. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is a fundamental concept in Stoic philosophy, going beyond simply loving others without expecting anything in return. It involves recognizing and valuing the intrinsic worth of each human being, regardless of their actions, achievements, or circumstances. By practicing unconditional love for ourselves, we commit to accepting and valuing who we are with all our virtues and flaws. This entails cultivating a relationship of compassion and acceptance for ourselves, freeing ourselves from excessive self-criticism and negative judgment. Furthermore, unconditional love for others goes beyond simply showing empathy and compassion for their experiences and struggles. It also means accepting people as they are without trying to change them or judge them for their actions or decisions. Being there for others in their times of need involves much more than simply offering a shoulder to cry on. It's about cultivating a genuine and deep connection with those around us, meaning being willing to actively listen to them, understand their concerns and fears, and offer the necessary support, even if it means stepping out of our comfort zone. By practicing this kind of unconditional support, we not only demonstrate our empathy and compassion for others but also strengthen our own relationships by committing to being there for each other in their times of need. We're building lasting bonds based on mutual respect and trust. It's important to remember that unconditional support isn't limited to times of crisis. It also involves being there to celebrate the triumphs and achievements of others, sharing in their joy and celebrating their successes. It's a demonstration of solidarity and camaraderie that further strengthens our bonds with those around us. A fundamental practice of unconditional love is learning to forgive and let go of resentment or bitterness towards those who have hurt or disappointed us. This involves recognizing our own humanity and that of others, understanding that we all make mistakes and face challenges in life. Forgiveness doesn't mean justifying the actions of others or ignoring the harm they've caused us. On the contrary, it's about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden that comes with holding on to resentment and allowing ourselves to move forward with compassion and inner peace. By practicing unconditional love and forgiveness, we not only strengthen our relationships with others but also grow and evolve as individuals. By choosing to forgive and love unconditionally, we opt to free ourselves from the weight of resentment and bitterness, making space for significant personal growth. Unconditional love invites us to accept others as they are with all their imperfections and flaws, recognizing their intrinsic value as human beings. This challenges us to show compassion and empathy towards them even when they've hurt or disappointed us, and to remain open to the possibility of deeper reconciliation and understanding. Furthermore, forgiveness allows us to release the past and move forward with more clarity and inner peace, leaving behind resentment and rancor, making space for personal growth and emotional healing. It allows us to close painful chapters and open ourselves to new experiences and opportunities for love and genuine connection. In short, practicing unconditional love and forgiveness allows us to build healthier and more meaningful relationships based on mutual acceptance, respect, and personal growth, offering us the opportunity to experience a deeper and more enriching connection with ourselves and others, and to live a fuller and more satisfying life. 10. Don't completely center your life around another person in today's society. We often fall into the trap of putting others on a pedestal, losing our own direction in love. By forging your own path, you'll see how you become more valuable. No one can harm you without your consent. Don't let others control you. This powerful quote is a reminder that ultimately we are the guardians of our inner peace and emotional well-being in a world where critical opinions and external judgments can be omnipresent. It's essential to understand that we have the power to choose how they affect us. Owning our minds and emotions is a call to self-reflection and authenticity, to be who we are without fear of external judgment. When we internalize this Stoic principle, we become masters of our own destiny, and our self-esteem and self-respect flourish, making us more valuable and important to others. Therefore, when facing challenges and criticism in our lives, let's remember this powerful truth from Marcus Aurelius: no one can harm you without your consent. This philosophy reminds us of the importance of staying true to what we consider right and just, even in the context of an intimate relationship. When we apply this concept to our romantic relationships, it means ensuring that the relationship aligns with our deepest values and principles. This involves reflecting on what those values are for us and how they manifest in our daily lives and in our relationship. For example, if we value honesty and trust, it's crucial that our relationship is based on transparency and open communication. Similarly, if we value mutual respect and equality, we must ensure that our interactions with our partner reflect these principles. Making decisions based on our values also means being true to ourselves. Even when we face challenges or external pressures in the relationship, this may involve making difficult decisions, such as establishing healthy boundaries or ending a relationship that doesn't meet our ethical standards. When we commit to living according to our values in a romantic relationship, we're laying the groundwork for a meaningful and lasting connection. This commitment not only strengthens our own personal integrity, but also contributes to cultivating an environment of trust, respect, and mutual growth in the relationship. Aligning our actions and decisions with our values allows us to act consistently with what we consider important in life and in our interactions with our partner. For example, if we value loyalty, we'll strive to be faithful and trustworthy in our relationship. If we value generosity, we'll seek ways to support and care for our partner selflessly. This congruence between our values and our actions creates a sense of authenticity and sincerity in the relationship, where our partner perceives us as individuals of integrity and trustworthiness, strengthening the bond of trust between us. Furthermore, acting in accordance with our values inspires our partner to do the same, promoting mutual growth and deeper understanding between both parties. Living according to our values also helps us overcome the challenges and conflicts that may arise in the relationship. When we're faced with difficult situations, we can turn to our values as a guide to make ethical and constructive decisions, allowing us to resolve issues in a respectful and constructive way, rather than compromising our principles or acting impulsively. Ultimately, living according to our values in a romantic relationship not only promotes our own happiness and well-being, but also enriches the connection with our partner. By building together on a foundation of integrity and mutual respect, we can create a solid and satisfying relationship that endures over time. 11. Virtue. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship involves much more than simply acting with honesty, loyalty, compassion, and respect towards our partner. It's about committing to being the best versions of ourselves in every aspect of our shared life. Virtue invites us to deepen honesty, which goes beyond transparency and communication. It means being authentic in our interactions, showing up as we are with our virtues and areas for improvement. By doing so, we foster an environment of mutual trust where both can grow and develop freely. Loyalty in a virtuous relationship involves not only emotional and physical fidelity, but also a lasting commitment to supporting and being present for our partner in all circumstances. It's about being there in tough times, offering a shoulder to lean on and a hand to overcome challenges together. Compassion as part of virtue calls us to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, understanding their perspectives and being empathetic to their experiences and emotions in a relationship based on mutual respect and virtue. A climate of trust and mutual support is promoted. This means not only recognizing our partner's value as an individual, but also promoting their personal and professional growth. It's about actively listening to their opinions and concerns, seeking to understand their point of view, and collaborating on decisions that benefit both. Moreover, it involves expressing gratitude and appreciation for our partners' contributions and efforts, thereby strengthening the emotional bond and connection between both. Ultimately, respect in a virtuous relationship is the foundation upon which a solid and satisfying partnership is built, where love and understanding flourish. In summary, practicing virtue in a romantic relationship is committing to living according to the highest moral and ethical principles, cultivating an environment of honesty, loyalty, compassion, and mutual respect, thus establishing the groundwork for an authentic and lasting connection, allowing others to invest in you, is recognizing your uniqueness and worth. It's not just about your presence in someone else's life, but about becoming a significant and essential element in their world. This acknowledgement entails understanding that what is easily obtained tends to be undervalued or little appreciated. True appreciation arises from effort and dedication when someone invests their time, emotions, and energy into your life. A stronger and longer-lasting bond is created. This process transforms your role from being a fleeting curiosity to becoming a genuinely appreciated presence. It's not about desperately seeking attention or love from others, but demonstrating that you are a valuable and enriching contribution to their lives, deserving of genuine and authentic interest. Allowing others to invest in you involves giving them the opportunity to turn your presence into an invaluable aspect of their lives, something they wouldn't want to lose. The words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca resonate with this idea. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The essence of your value doesn't just lie in being, but in being sought after and earned. Reflecting on the story of Alexander the Great and his teacher Aristotle illustrates how the value of valuable teaching and the relationship between teacher and student transcend the conventional. Aristotle, a wise philosopher, was not only a tutor in the young prince's life, but also a beacon of knowledge and essential strategic thinking for governing an empire. Alexander, known for his ambition and intellect, understood the value of Aristotle's teachings and dedicated considerable time and effort to learn them. In summary, throughout this video, we have explored 11 fundamental principles for building healthy and meaningful relationships. We have learned that unconditional love, inspired by Stoic philosophy, teaches us to let go of control over what we cannot change, cultivating inner peace and authenticity. Furthermore, by living according to our values, we strengthen not only our own integrity, but also inspire our partner to do the same, promoting mutual growth and deeper understanding. Allowing others to invest in us, recognizing our uniqueness and worth, creates bonds of trust and respect, enriching the shared journey. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship goes beyond honesty and loyalty, involving a commitment to personal growth and mutual support, strengthening the foundations of lasting connection. Lastly, by adopting a Stoic approach, we learn to find balance, face challenges calmly, and cultivate an intrinsic connection with ourselves, thereby creating relationships that are authentic, enriching, and meaningful. These principles not only shape our interactions with others, but also empower us to be architects of our own happiness and personal fulfillment. By applying them in our daily lives, we can transform not only our relationships, but also ourselves towards a fuller and more rewarding life. Always remember that true growth comes from constant reflection and diligent practice of these principles, thus creating a path to a more authentic and meaningful existence. As we conclude our journey, I would like to express my gratitude for your company and dedication throughout this video. I sincerely hope that the reflections and insights shared here have been enriching and inspiring for you, providing true personal growth and a new perspective on relationships. It's essential to remember that relationships are a continuous journey of learning and evolution, where each experience, whether challenging or rewarding, contributes to our maturation and development. If you've watched until now, I'd like to invite you to share in the comments. I am ready to apply these principles in my life. This interaction will allow us to further strengthen our connection and reinforce mutual commitment to personal and interpersonal growth. May you incorporate these valuable principles into your daily routine, nurturing authentic and meaningful relationships, and living with fullness and purpose in every moment. Thank you once again for your presence, and until our next video.